On the field. Off the field. Sports talk. Entertainment and more. This is Sauce on the Side.
Well, hello there, Dippers, and welcome back to the Randy Moss episode of Sauce on the Side. That's right, Dippers, we are on 84. As always, Dippers, I'm your host, Drake, joined by the man, the producer, Mr. Leighton Pip Shavantone.
So I went through several different intros today. I was talking about how the Oscars fucked me on money last night, talking about baseball a little bit, but today I came up with an insane fact. It's crazy that so many people in America have both eyes still. How many times has something hit you just right above the eye or around the eye?
How high were you?
I wasn't high at all. I was at work today, and a staple hit me directly below the eyeball. And I was like, this happens all the time.
That's unbelievable. I've never thought of that before, but like, how many close calls have you ever had?
A lot.
Like, you're walking and you're like, man, that stick almost went in my eye. Like, you're in the woods.
Yeah. It hits you right above the eye on the note. Yep. It's crazy.
Wow. And our guest host for today, Mr. Brandon B. Riker.
So, Leighton, when you were on the air last and you didn't know the ethnicity of Joe Harris and you thought he was black, I thought you were a complete dumbass. However, I read an article this morning that made me realize there are much dumber people in the world than you. So, Ryan Avery Howard, the minor league shortstop for the San Francisco Giants, he's in the farm system somewhere. He states he's on several occasions receives baseball cards for him to sign in his fan mail. The only problem, almost every card is ex-Philly slugger Ryan Howard. Even worse, the Giants shortstop is extremely, extremely Caucasian.
It's also a ginger.
Dude, you know what I just thought of, though, whenever you're explaining that? Whenever you said that guy's name? Where in the world is Mitch McGarry?
Why did that make you think of Mitch McGarry?
I don't know. I have no idea.
The guy from Michigan?
So, yes, the guy from Michigan. So he had a couple good years in OKC. I know he had a couple failed drug tests, like before his pro career and during his pro career, and he had some injuries. So I think they just sent him packing.
Yeah, that's wild.
Let's see. It appeared Mitch McGarry has been out of the league since 2016, and this is 3 years out of the league now.
What was he averaging whenever he got booted?
Not very well.
1.3 points. I don't know. He played like 3 minutes a game second year.
Yeah, he had like a 3-week span where he
Look at that guy.
was good.
You know he's not getting me at basketball.
Yeah, I know. Well, honestly, like, he did have that little stretch that you're talking about. Like, I would start him in FanDuel like every night, and he would just pay off. That's wild. Dippers, we actually have a jam-packed show for you, but be sure to download, subscribe, give us a 5-star review on on Spotify and iTunes. I think I had a little blast from the past there. And be sure to follow on Twitter and Instagram at the Saucy Pod. Guys, we're going to talk about the Manny Machado deal. We're going to talk a little bit about the NBA post-All-Star break. We actually have some football news back in, so be excited for that. And we're going to break down some NCAA basketball, give our 4 versus the field, and actually give our 1 and 2 seeds. But first, the deal of a century. Well, actually, it would be for a decade. The deal for a decade. Manny Machado, 10 years, $300 million with the San Diego Padres. Guys, do you think Manny Machado is a baseball player that's worth $300 million?
I don't think anyone baseball player is worth $300 million. So no.
I echo it.
But however, you cannot win without a player of this caliber. So I love the move. We'll talk about this in a few seconds, but I love the move overall.
Well, I mean, do you not think so? The Royals didn't have anybody a few years back of this caliber, and they won the World Series.
Eric Hosmer got paid off that one season. He was not good the next 2 seasons. I mean, Mike,
he was good the next 2 seasons. He had 300 with over 20 home runs and was an all-star one of those 2 seasons.
Okay, so one of the two seasons he was good.
Yes.
That's 50%. Hey, 500 in baseball is pretty good as far as batting, you know.
Well, that's true. That's true, but yeah, no, I agree. Like, nobody's worth 300, and this is the big reason why we're having such a struggle.
Timeout. Barry Bonds in his prime might have been worth three.
You're actually absolutely true.
Yeah.
That's not even yes.
That's not even debatable.
Was.
Barry Bonds,
those 2-3 years, like, absolutely was worth $300 million. Yeah. But no player today is worth $300 million. But this is the market right here. This is the problem until you wait 6 years for a player to be able to hit free agency. I mean, and you don't have a salary cap, you don't have a limit on the amount of years. This is just going to be the nature of the beast, and Bryce Harper's going to beat this number in probably a few days. So.
Oh yeah, it's going to be like the NFL like defensive player race. Like it's an arms race to see who's like the highest paid man in the league. But what does this move actually say about the Padres? Do you think that this is more of those moves where they're like they sign him and they think they can win right now, or do you think that they signed him to that 10-year deal trying to play the long game with this?
So here's what I think why 10 years. They'll tell me Manny Machado, Manny, we got a lot of good prospects, a ton of good prospects, like insane farm system. We're going to not be very good this year. In 2 years, we're going to be decent. So we're going to pay you a lot of money for playing on a bad team, and then in return, we're going to pay you $30 million to be really bad the last 2 years of the deal. So basically, they paid for 6 years window of success. And a lot of those prospects won't hit the major leagues until 2020. So that's when I think that they start having some success in 2 years.
Well, actually, their top 3 of their top 4 are going to hit it this year.
Tatis,
that's really good for it.
Mejia, and Urias.
Exactly.
He'll hit.
But yes, you're right. It's definitely that's what they're saying right here. And I can't remember what sports analyst said this, but he said it very, very well. Basically, 3 of those years is just a signing bonus for him.
Yes.
You say his first year, you're trying to entice him to come in, and like Layton said, those last couple of years that he basically, is playing mediocre baseball but getting paid $30 million is that signing bonus, and they're locking him up. Another thing like Layton hit on, this is a team that's on the rise. And you know what? The Padres probably looked around and thought all these top prospects are going to sign for 10 years plus. So most of these young players are going to be on a contract for 10 years, and they're going to miss out if they don't go make a big splash. So now they have 2 proven all-stars. They have a ton of talent coming up, and this is basically a team that's saying they're going to compete 2, 3, 4 years down the road.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be more of a long game with this team. This is a team that won 66 games last year. I know that they're going to have a completely revamped roster with a bunch of young guys, but I think what they were trying to do with this move is A, bring in the best player on your ball club, which is what they got with Manny Machado, and 2, they're trying to get a guy in that is, I guess, a leader, you could call. But I feel like for $300 million, I'm wanting to get a guy who's well-rounded in the fact that he's also a clubhouse guy, which, Manny Machado, I don't think has ever been viewed as that. And I don't think that that's the ideal leader that you want leading your team, especially with a big group of young guys. Yeah, no, I agree.
Manny Machado definitely not the clubhouse guy. Shit, he said last during the World Series he doesn't hustle.
Yeah,
he said he wasn't going to be a hustle guy.
He wasn't Johnny Hustle is exactly what he said. I'm not Johnny Hustle. If you're not Johnny Hustle in the World Series, I don't know when you will decide to be Johnny Hustle. Because we see even in NBA, the league that I say that people just do not try in, those guys are 100% effort 100% of the time in the playoffs. If a guy like Manny Machado is not 100% effort at the most important part of his baseball career, which last year's World Series might be the most important part of his baseball career. He may never get back to a World Series, so he kind of took it for granted. If you have a guy that takes opportunities like that for granted in your clubhouse that these young guys are supposed to gravitate towards and look up to, I don't know if that's the beginning to a championship ball club.
Yeah.
Well, there's 2 more things I want to point out. First of all, even Manny Machado, I hate that he doesn't hustle. I don't like a lot of those things about him, but he's still really fucking good at baseball.
He's unbelievably good, and I don't expect you to sprint to first base on a foul ball that you hit that's obviously going to be an out. Don't get me wrong, I don't expect that. But if you hit a ground ball in the World Series, you better be running your ass off.
I agree. I don't know what he's. I can't believe you said that out loud. I really can't. One other thing is to think about is that we all know that these contracts will just slightly go up year after year after year. So another thing, there probably is going to be another free agent that they could have hit on when they were more ready to compete. But they would probably have to pay $35, $36 million a year. Who knows?
Yeah.
Just so they could one-up Bryce Harper, Manny Machado. Because that's just how this works. So I think they did a very smart investment here.
Yeah, another thing with that, though, they got Machado because they knew the Orioles they could not sign Manny Machado. Next year, they are not a free agent. The Rockies could pay Arenado, and the following year, Trout and Mookie Betts both go back to the ball clubs. So basically, they just weren't going to sit around and take the risk of not getting the guy.
Yeah.
So I love the move, like I said earlier.
Yeah. How do you think this relationship's going to end? Do you think that this is going to be like where they ride him out for 10 years, or do you think that this is going to be something where they get like halfway through this deal and try to get out from underneath it?
So the last two giant deals like this that were on a bad team was in Constant and the Marlins and Alex Rodriguez and the Rangers. Both of those teams backed out really quickly. So I'm interested to see if the Padres stick with this and do what they have to do to get better. Like, will they trade some prospects for pitchers like Trevor Bauer made this season or next offseason? Will they make the move to pay pitchers and other players like that? But I think it's going to work out for them. The series, it's too hard to predict that, but I think they have a good amount of success, especially where the National League West is right now and how in 2 or 3 years the Dodgers might not be the same power they are right now.
Yeah, I agree. So, what do you think that this is actually going to spark Bryce Harper to move? I'm kind of surprised that it wasn't, that it wasn't immediately following it, like, within 48 hours afterwards, because that's how other contracts typically work in sports. When do you think he will move, and do you think that this move entices him at all to where he's going to expect more money than what Machado got?
If the rumor is true that he turned down $330 million, like this should make him want to sign. But I don't know
I don't think that one's true. I think he did turn down some $300 million contracts.
You know,
That's been reported more often.
I don't know. In theory, this movie would make him want to sign, but in reality, why would it? If he turned down that much money, he's doing it more Machado now. I don't think this Rams wants to sign at all. I think he had a number in his head, and until that number gets reached, he's going to sit there and wait for it.
Well, I don't think there's any rush for Bryce Harper at all. He now knows that he's definitely going to beat $300 million. I mean, for 10 years. I really think he's going to sign for at least $326 million to beat the total number that Giancarlo Stanton got, because that's just how Scott Boras does it. 10 years, $326 million is what I'm predicting from the Phillies. But he has waited till other teams have perked their interest. Like, he's waiting for the Giants to come around. The Dodgers have met with him again. He's just trying to see if he can't get more leverage and put pressure on the Phillies to give him a few more $1 million.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. At the point of $300 million, I feel like, what more are you asking for? Yeah. There's not really a difference between $300 and $330 million.
It's definitely not, because this is the most marketable player in baseball today.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, hands down. This is all just who's got the biggest dick, basically.
Yes, it's a contest at this point.
Yes.
And you look at a guy like Bryce Harper. Everybody knows who Bryce Harper is. Bryce Harper might not be the best baseball player in the MLB, but to a guy who's not an actual baseball fan, they might think Bryce Harper's the best just because he is Bryce Harper. Where you look at a guy like Mike Trout, you could go up to just the average Joe who just goes to 1 or 2 baseball games a year and say, "Who's Mike Trout?" They might not legitimately know who Mike Trout is.
They're going to say he's a really good baseball player.
Yeah. If they
wouldn't be able to pick him out of a line, though.
Exactly. I don't understand. I think Bryce Harper will get more money out of this. It's a matter of time, and we might be going to opening pitch with Bryce Harper unsigned. I will not be surprised.
I heard like 2 weeks ago that both these players might have taken him until middle of March. Man, signing for next year after I heard that. But Bryce Harper could go until I guess middle of March.
Wow.
Opening day is the 28th for all the teams.
Yeah. One of my bold things though, I think Bryce Harper's going to wait till middle of March or till opening day. I think we will be peaking up to opening day like within a week, and then he'll finally sign.
So you think Bryce Harper's going to really sit that long? He's really sitting on his hands?
Yes, I do.
How much money do you think he's going to sign for?
I'm not going to be surprised if it's not $350.
Do you think John Middleton, owner of the Philadelphia Phillies, can sit out there in Las Vegas long enough? Do you think he can keep paying for all the hotel rooms, all the cheap hookers?
Yeah, maybe. He might be on the Robert Kraft diet.
Oh, the game about Kraft thoughts for us?
Actually, I do.
It was all a dream. I used to read Run Up magazine.
Death, taxes, and rich old white guys appearing at brothels. $25 tugger, Tom Brady, Air Force Ones. That's Robert Kraft's MySpace top friends. Orchids of Asia apparently had a $12 special. It was a massage from a masseuse 5 years past their prime while wearing 6 rings on a deflated air mattress. It's actually called the Patriot Way. What's 77 years old and has never found a younger woman that he could not pass up? Pete Rose. And you thought I was going to go with a Robert Kraft joke. I can't keep those up forever. Robert Kraft is 77. Neither can he. Nothing says LeBron activating playoff intensity more than him getting his ass kicked by a Western Conference team. The AAF missed payroll for the first time in 2 weeks. Hot start. Follow me here. KD may go to the Knicks. Zion may get picked first. The Knicks may have the first pick. Russ hates KD. Russ is friends with Paul George. Zion wears Paul George's shoes. Russell Westbrook made sure Zion got a pair of default Paul George shoes to ruin his draft stock to keep him away from KD. Calling my shot now. Zion Williamson Nike, that blown shoe basically guarantees that he'll be with Big Baller Brand. This is not a drill. 59 carries, 145 yards, 6 touchdowns. If 2.5 yards per carry doesn't scream Trent Richardson to you, I don't know what does. Exactly 0 players in the league with 10-plus touches hold a lower yards per carry average. And he has everybody doubled up in touchdowns this season. The Lakers bus apparently left Luke Walton at the arena following the loss to the Pelicans. Luke Walton coach, LeBron James bus chauffeur. Antonio Brown, free agency update. He's not. Zion Williamson, Blake Griffin of the 2019 draft class. Welcome, my friends, to the NFL Combine season, where we now are more concerned about how well a guy throws a football naked and how much he can bench press than 60 hours of game film. And there's a new book out this week. It's titled What $1 Billion Can Buy, and it was written by Robert Kraft. And those have been my thoughts.
It's a great
Those were a
book.
lot of thoughts. Those were a lot of thoughts.
Yeah, I know. I had a lot this week. They gave me a lot of ammo to work with. I mean, Antonio Brown telling teams that they have guaranteed money to come approach him. Like, that's awesome. Like, you're a trade piece. You're not a free agent. Robert Kraft, I mean, that speaks for itself. Trent Richardson, like, you can't make this shit up. The guy has 59 carries for 145 yards. 59 carries for 145 yards. That is the most unbelievable thing ever. And it's only Trent Richardson that could have that kind of stat line with 6 touchdowns. Nobody else in the league. I think there's one other guy that has 3, so that's awesome. So we'll get to some NBA news here. So thank goodness, guys. LeBron James came out and said he's turning up to his playoff intensity mode. Immediately responded by losing to the Pelicans without AD. Guys, there are 23 games left. They're 3.5 games out of 8th place. 23 games, 15 against playoff teams. Guys, will the Lakers be able to pull this out?
I honestly don't think they're going to make the playoffs.
No.
Because look at who they play. Yeah, they play 15 games, but they're not against, like, the bad Eastern Conference teams. They played the Nets one time, the Clippers twice.
I think they have the Hornets in there, which counts as an Eastern Conference playoff team. But
they're in the playoffs?
yeah, and the Pistons.
They're
The Pistons in the playoffs right now?
Yes.
7th seed.
Oh, the 7th. Okay, so
The
I don't
7th
know.
and 8th seed counting those. And
But the Pistons aren't a slouch. Like, we laugh at them, but they're not a
They
slouch.
can win.
But
They're like the Jazz too. Like, they could also, if they play the Jazz and the Kings, both those, the Kings are about good as the Lakers are right now.
Probably
I think maybe better.
Yeah.
They might be playing better basketball right now. So I don't think the Lakers are going to make it. It's just not going to come together. The young players are pissed off. They almost got traded and their feelings are hurt. They're not going to suck it up and do it. They're not going to play the game like you got to do sometimes in life. And they're not going to make it.
Well, it's not that they're not putting it out there. I mean, we've seen a 40-point effort go to waste by Kyle Kuzma, and then, like, the game against the Pelicans, like, LeBron James was not the leading scorer for the Lakers. It was Brandon Ingram. So, like, the young guys are stepping up and playing. Like, they're just not a good basketball team, and they suck defensively.
Yeah, as a whole, there's no chemistry there.
No.
Another big issue, they're like 28th in 3-point percentage, which in today's game that's not going to work. But I really think they still are going to make the playoffs. I mean, they are only 2 games back of the Kings and 3 games back of the Clippers, who have mailed it in.
Oh, Ben, what's their 3-point percent of the rank?
Like 28th, 28th percent.
Are you surprised by that?
See, me like 8 months ago when the 3 of us said that this wasn't going to work because they couldn't shoot threes, we were all right, and we're smaller than Magic Johnson.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I guess so.
I don't know if that takes much.
Good job, guys.
Yeah. No, but I really do think they're going to sneak into that 8 seed right now. I mean, they did just beat the Rockets and Celtics within a week. So, I mean, they are still beating teams. The Pelicans' loss was terrible. I mean, that should be a gimme without AD. Absolutely, there's no point. There's no real excuse for them losing that, especially when LeBron's in playoff mode, quote unquote. But I don't think the ESPN I think the ESPN algorithm said like an 8%, 10% chance of them making the playoffs. I think it's much higher than that.
It was.
I do think that it's higher than that. I think right now we're sitting at like a 40-60, like 40% chance they do, just because they have LeBron James.
Oh yeah, if they didn't have LeBron, I would put it more in like the 2% range.
Oh yeah.
A lot of the playoff teams they are playing, though, are against the bottom tier. And like I said, the Clippers have mailed it in, so that really, really helps the Lakers' chances. But the Kings, by far, are the biggest issue. So they're 2 games back of the Kings. We'll have to see how this last month and a half works out.
Wouldn't that be some shit if, like, the Clippers make it in with, like, 0 star power whatsoever?
Well, Steve Ballmer wants it.
Trying.
Huh? Yeah.
Steve Ballmer wants to get in the playoffs.
Yeah, he said that they're still trying.
Who is that?
Steve Ballmer,
the owner for the Clippers.
There's no way would he say that?
Yeah.
He traded everybody away. Why would he want to make the playoffs? Does he not understand how the lottery works?
Team morale, B-Reich. Team morale. He's got to keep that team morale up, something that the Lakers don't know anything about.
Yeah. You said that they're 2 games behind the Kings. The Kings right now are the 9th seed. They're not even in the playoffs right now.
Late in the night.
So just to add to that.
No, but I'm saying yes. They are 2 behind them, but those by far I think are the 2 that I believe have the best chance for the 8th seed.
And the thing is that the Kings, they're like they're ahead of schedule by far. And like at the deadline, they went out and they actually made themselves better. Like they made their team better by acquiring Harrison Barnes, which is something that the Lakers didn't do. And like the Kings, they know that every player in that locker room, the Kings want to have there. And the Lakers aren't necessarily in that same predicament where all those players basically know that the team tried to get rid of them at one point or another. Mm-hmm.
You forgot they traded for Reggie Bullock.
Oh yeah. He was the starting point guard one game. I love that.
Yeah, they loaded up. So don't say Magic didn't try. Okay.
Yeah, he gave it his best shot. It was funny. Leighton and I were talking the other day about LeBron James's playoff intensity and how he goes into a different mode for the playoffs and how he already started it. And Leighton actually started off the conversation by he's like, oh yeah, no, it's a thing of legend, and I'm like. It's really only a thing of legend because LeBron James has tried to make it a thing of legend. Like, he's come out and said, Zero Dark 30 mode, getting off of, Instagram, Twitter, all this stuff. Like, LeBron has built this, basically facade for himself. For him to make everybody else think that there's, this different level of basketball that he reaches at certain points.
You understand
basically, it's just the NBA. That's how NBA players are. They don't try during the regular season, then they try in the playoffs.
No, that's right. But you understand, by putting that on the outline, you're adding to the legend.
Oh, yeah.
But by talking about it, we all fuel the fire that this is a real thing.
It's like playoff Rondo and playoff P.
Yeah.
This is all, we're just adding to the fire.
Yeah.
The only player that there's really a true thing about in the playoffs is Rondo. Rondo can go all season and have, a stat line of, 6 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds, jumps into the postseason, and he's 6 points, 27 assists, and, 14 rebounds.
LeBron did lead the Cavaliers to the NBA Finals last year. I think that proved a lot of things.
That is true.
J.R. Smith didn't even know where he was half the time, and he was, their second best player for stretches in the playoffs, so...
That is true. Well, sometimes he didn't even know when to shoot it, when not to shoot it. So
he had no idea.
Had no idea where he was at. So a team we'll also see in the playoffs. They actually have a better percentage, I would say, to make the playoffs than the Lakers. The Warriors. Draymond Green ended up leaving the game against the Rockets banged up. When asked about it after the game, Kevin Durant, this is his quote, "He'll be back for the playoffs. That's the only thing we worry about here, right?" Guys, what are your thoughts about a comment like that?
I think it's pretty accurate, especially when, so in the NBA, over half the teams make the playoffs, and in both conferences right now, the 1 through 5 seeds all locked in. Maybe not seed-wise, but those teams are. So at least 11 teams right now looking to the postseason. So that sounds bad, but it's just accurate.
It is accurate, and, really Popovich made this wildly apparent several years back when the Spurs had their dynasty. He would just flat out not play Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, Tim Duncan whenever he felt like it. Whenever he felt like they were a little run down, He didn't care if tickets were selling. He just said, you know what, we're not playing today. We're going to take the L. And, it worked out well for them. And then you look at teams like the Raptors and the Blazers, who for years have been regular season juggernauts. And have we ever before this year thought, okay, we think the Raptors might do it this year. But before that, we never thought they were going to win the NBA championship. Do you think Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum are going to the finals? Not a chance in hell. And they're always like a 3 seed.
Yeah.
So this just goes to show, like, yes, as long as you get like a top 4 seed, you're pretty happy.
No, I agree. And I'm kind of glad, honestly. Like, some people be turned off by it, but I'm just glad that the honesty's there. Like, for him to come out and own it, like, hey, we don't give a shit about the regular season. Nobody else does. So I'm glad that they're out there owning it and not trying to say, well, we need him back next week. Like, bullshit. You could go with the whole season without Draymond. He comes back in the playoffs, and you guys are fine.
Yeah, only LeBron to the Lakers is very important right now in the playoff race. So,
no, I agree with that.
Well, and we saw the last time the Warriors tried really hard in the regular season. They didn't even win the NBA championship. So,
yes.
Clearly, it does not matter.
Yeah, Tommy Tryhard doesn't pay off in the NBA. Guys, do you think that this mentality, though, is a problem with the NBA? Especially to the regular season, like whenever you're wanting to watch games and be entertained throughout all 82 games.
Well, yeah, some teams probably have this mentality all season long. But we're in the last 20 or so games, so I don't think it's a problem right now. But, like Ben said, but probably just didn't play this guy because he knew he didn't have to. Like, if Steve could, let's say somehow this team stays together for another 4 or 5 years, he could just say, I'm not going to play Steph Curry tonight, I'm not going to play Kevin Durant tonight. He doesn't have to.
Right.
And that's always going to be an issue in basketball, I think.
But the biggest issue that I have, and the teams are still going to do it because it makes logical sense, is just it sucks for the fans when they pay good money to go see a player. And if I go buy tickets to the Lakers during the middle of the season and LeBron's not on the court, I'm going to be a little pissed. I'm not trying to watch Lonzo and Ingram.
No.
Try to tear up the defense. I'm not trying to see JaVale McGee just do what he does, whatever he does. So, like, I
block shots, B-Reich.
Block shots and
fall down.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, fall down. So, yeah, I mean, it sucks for the fans. Sucks a little bit for the product, but we all know what it is.
Right.
We all know in every sport, people turn it up a little bit.
Do you think that there's any way that this could be fixed to where, like, we would be dialed into the regular season more?
The only way would be to cut down on the number of playoff teams, and that would never happen.
Oh, and I was saying another thing, they could maybe shorten the season, shorten the playoffs, and people would try harder, but you'd lose way too much money.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. If money wasn't an issue, hear me out on this. I think that if money wasn't an issue, this would be the ideal way to do the postseason for the NBA. So you jump in, and there's only 6 teams that make it, okay? And the 1 seed and the 2 seed both get a bye to the semifinals, and the 4 and the 5 seed, and then the 3 and the 6 seed, they play a 3-game playoff.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that would be actually really entertaining because then you're cutting down on the amount of playoff teams. Like right now in the NBA, 16 of the 30 teams make the postseason. There's not another league in the world where over half of the teams make the postseason. Like you look at the NFL, 32 teams, 12 playoff teams. You look at the MLB, there's 5 playoff teams compared to 30 that they have listed. So I think, or there's 10 technically out of each one. So I think that if you limit the amount of playoff teams, that would make a lot more sense instead of, half the league making it in. You're down to right around 50, or you'd be right around 30% at that point. And I think that would actually increase the product for the regular season, and those 3-game playoffs would immediately almost put you right into a Game 7 right off the bat, which we rarely see in the first round of the NBA playoffs.
But what would the NBA do if the playoffs wasn't 3 months long?
Oh my goodness, dude.
They would probably explode. They don't know what to do with themselves.
We're going to have to mark down how many podcasts that we have in the amount of time of the NBA playoffs.
It's wild. I remember
it's like in May, doesn't it? And ends in the middle of June?
Or maybe end of April it starts. But yeah, end of April, beginning of May. Like, it just lasts forever, especially those first 2 rounds. It is just...
It's exhausting.
It's a long time.
And it's unneeded.
Players that definitely... that's the one benefit of being on a shitty team. You get a hell of a vacation in the NBA.
Yeah, and why in the hell is that the rules? Like, you look at baseball, 162 games, and right off the bat, you're playing in a Game 7 if you're a wild card team, and then after that, it's a series of 5. Like, why in the hell in the NBA do we just have 7 games all the way through? It's one of the shortest sports seasons, but yet we have the most playoffs.
Yep.
I don't think it makes any sense. So, guys, Paul George is quietly having the best season of his career. He's setting a career high in points, assists, rebounds, and steals. OKC is currently sitting in the 3rd place in the West. Is Paul George a legitimate playoff MVP candidate? And if so, where would you rank him?
I think he obviously definitely is. Not even second. Him and James Harden, we're close to for second. But first place has to be Giannis. Bucks is the best record in the NBA. Done it all season. Only real star on the team.
You're going to put him at first?
I put in Paul George at second because Giannis has done it all year.
Where do you have James Harden?
3rd.
So you know that James Harden's averaging like 38 points a game for a team that hasn't had Clint Capella or Chris Paul.
I actually have James Harden at 3rd as well.
I think that's absolutely ridiculous. I don't like James Harden's game, but he's been by far the most valuable player in the NBA. If the Rockets did not have James Harden, they would be nowhere near the playoffs.
They're 500 without him.
They would be nowhere near the playoffs.
Well, 500 actually is near the playoffs.
How many games has he missed? How many games has he missed?
4.
Has he missed? 4. Okay, shut the fuck up.
They beat the Warriors the other night. No, I really think that you have to because in the NBA, what they've been basing it on recently is if your team's having great success, then you are a lead dog to be an MVP. Like you look at Giannis in the season that he's having, like if you break it down to usage-wise, which is what I did. Paul George, this includes 3-pointers, 2-pointers, and free throws. So, points per shot. James Harden shoots the ball 36 times in a game. He's averaging 36 points. Paul George, he shoots the ball 28 times per game. He's averaging 28 points. Giannis Antetokounmpo, he shoots the ball 27 times per game. He's averaging 27 points. But then if you look at how these teams are, how they're finding success, like Paul George's team, they're number 3 in the West, and their ceiling, honestly, I think that they might finish in that second spot. If they do, is kind of irrelevant. They're going to be having home court advantage in the playoffs, at least for the first round. While Giannis' team has the best record in the NBA, and without Giannis, this team's honestly a fringe playoff team. Like they're good, but they're not the number 1 team in the NBA, even ahead of the Warriors.
No, they're not the number 1 team, and that's why I have Giannis as the second in there, and then Paul George is the 3rd, and I think those 3 are on a tier all by themselves. Like they are on a planet all by themselves. Joel Embiid I'd put 4th, but he's got 3 of their All-Stars on the team. So what I'm saying is that Harden hasn't had their 2 best players on a team. So his second best player has been Eric Gordon all season long, and he's been having some of his worst numbers he's had in a long time. And James Harden does have, and I know he isn't as efficient as the other 2, but he can't afford to be efficient or the team's going to lose.
Right.
They have nobody else to shoot the ball. That's the only thing. Now they have Clint Capella back and Chris Paul. I think you'll see a little bit more efficient James Harden. And it sucks that we're even arguing if it's going to be Harden, Antetokounmpo, or George because they all are so deserving of it.
Oh, yeah.
But I just have Harden just because he just has that team on his back. He knows people call fouls on him. He gets the fouls. He leads the league in free throws. He gets the job done. I hate his game. I love Antetokounmpo and George's game more, but I'm going to go with Harden as the MVP at the moment.
So I ran some numbers because I was so interested in like James Harden's getting foul calls, like because he plays the game every single night the same exact way. He tries to get all these fouls and he tries to get to the line. Whenever he shoots 10 or fewer free throws, this team's only 13-12 compared to a 34-25 record that they have. So like him getting to the foul line is like 50% of this team's success. And, like Paul George, Giannis, they do it in different ways. I think Giannis should be the MVP just because, like, the season the Bucks are obviously having, and obviously, like, Giannis has just been on a completely different planet this year. I think James Harden is having, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to bash James Harden with this, but I think that if you just look at offensively, their efficiency numbers, 36 shots, 36 points, 28 shots, 28 points, 27 shots, 27 points, they're all on pace with the others, but whenever I look at defensively, because I feel like you have to take both into consideration, Paul George is on a completely different planet than James Harden. Giannis is on a completely different planet. So, I mean, James Harden has them offensively, but everywhere else, these guys are so far ahead, and they're all pretty efficient offensively.
I'm pretty sure, and Lady, you might have to fact check me because my phone's not close to me, but I'm pretty sure James Harden still leads the league in win shares, and I know his defensive win shares are not that good.
Oh no,
That's
they can't
just how
be.
great his offense is.
Have you watched him play defense recently? Like, he just stands like on the corner of the free throw line and then just basically tries to jump in and steal the ball
Well,
occasionally.
when you have to score 40 buckets a night, 40 points a night, it's a little hard to play defense, I'm telling you.
No, I could definitely see that. But it's kind of fun to watch him play defense. It's one of my favorite things in basketball. So, guys, it is time for our shittiest take of the week. Each week we watch numerous sports shows, listen to numerous sports shows on the radio, and we try to come up with the shittiest sports take of the week. Latency, what do you have for us today?
Mine actually stolen by Drake Thoughts and Antonio Brown's claim of team looking to money coming to get him. You just have no power where you're gonna go. They could trade you. The Jaguars have the least money to spend in the next several years. They trade to the Jaguars, and you have nothing to say about it.
No, you have zero say about it.
Like, will you resign there? Probably not. That's a fair warning. But still, just the fact that players going to say this kind of shit annoys me. They know they have no power.
Yeah. They know they have no power, but the Jaguars can't go get him.
Well, yeah,
they don't have the cap room.
I understand that.
Yes,
but the point I'm saying is, it doesn't matter.
It was
where you
very
wanna
misguided.
go.
He's very misguided, but yes, he wants to see those dollars.
Yes, I understand all that.
B-Rock, what do you have for the shittiest take of the week?
AB's a funny guy.
He's different, that's for sure.
Yes. I'm definitely going to still bash on James Harden. He basically said, I can't remember what rep it was, but says that he doesn't like him or the Rockets, and he shouldn't be allowed to rep the NBA anymore. And James Harden leads the league. Like, he's complaining about reps, but he leads the league in free throw attempts per game.
I feel like he's the only guy in the NBA that should not be complaining about fouls.
And actually, funny enough, and I have to dog on Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid also recently blamed a game they lost on the refs, and he's second in the league in free throw attempts.
That's unbelievable.
I don't know what the players are getting into. I don't know
Well,
if they.
whenever you cater to a guy so much, that's the problem. And like whenever you watch, like James Harden has been involved in more scuffles in the NBA over the last year because whenever you create a culture in the NBA of where a guy gets to the line every single time that he drives to the basket, like that's going to frustrate people because you are obviously calling the game different ways for different players, and it pisses people off. And guys like Draymond Green, and we saw it with I think it was one of the Lakers, like week one. Like, those guys get mad, and you're going to have some pushback from them because you've created this culture.
Well, and the fact that James Harden just, like you said, just drives to the line and just expects a foul, like, LeBron just took a couple charges on him. Like, you just couldn't do it to him. Like,
right.
you're just going to stand there. So, yeah, the fact that he complained about the refs is just absolutely crazy to me.
So mine, we didn't plan this. We didn't have Skip Bayless. We didn't have Colin Cowherd. We actually all had players. Mine is a Le'Veon Bell tweet from 5 days ago.
Nice.
It was immediately after he got, the Steelers said that they weren't going to try to franchise tag him again. He tweeted, "Free at last. Free at last. Thank God Almighty, I am free at last." Okay, Le'Veon. I have some issues with this. Obviously, the timing isn't great because this is obviously a quote that he had stolen from one of probably the most influential speeches in American history on a completely different topic than a guy making $17 million from an NFL team getting released, finally having a say where he's going to make his next $17 million on. I think that if you're going to go out and use a quote, use one that's not going to hit home with so many people on such a shitty issue. Like, your ability to make money in the NFL is completely different than people that were segregated or people that were, enslaved. Making $17 million, you are not... this doesn't make you a free man. Like, that is the most bizarre shit you could possibly say coming after just getting released from an NFL team.
I'm definitely not surprised you said it. I mean, that's
Neither
like that's been the mentality. Like, I don't want to get too political here, but how many times we heard that the owners are slave owners and the players are like they're slave? Like, I don't know how many slaves got $17 million to do their thing.
I agree.
Whatever.
It's unbelievable. And like whenever you get into the NFL, like you understand, like the players before you have set up the agreements for contracts, and this is what the players ended up settling on. Is it a fair system? Probably not. Is it the best system? Absolutely not. But whenever, you settle that in CBA contract disputes, like, I just... That's completely out of line. And people seem to back it more than they've actually called him out for it. I haven't seen anybody call him out on it yet. But I just think it's pretty shitty to go out and say that if you're Le'Veon Bell.
So backtrack 4 or 5 minutes here to Brandon's win share thing. Giannis is actually first in win shares now with 11. James Harden is second. But Giannis has played over 200 fewer minutes. Don't really know how to do this stat. But crazy thing about this stat is, number 3rd on this list is Rudy Gobert.
Yeah. No, I brought that up when we were talking about snubs, and almost all of it's defensive.
Yeah.
Rudy Gobert, but honestly, it's been like that for the last few years, and Rudy Gobert continues to get snubbed.
He's shooting 65% from the field.
Mm-hmm. He is one of the most underrated players still in the NBA.
But
dude, it reminds me of DeAndre Jordan back in the day, but like better. Mm-hmm. Like I think Rudy Gobert's a better DeAndre Jordan. He's just never going to get that love because he's not stepping out, hawking up a bunch of threes, and like he's doing he's doing the more gritty shit on the team.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So, do you know what one of his nicknames are that I wear my t-shirt of now?
Who?
Gobert?
No.
Gobzilla.
I like that.
You put Zilla to anything, I'll buy a t-shirt.
Yeah, buy it immediately. You sold me. That's awesome.
Say no more. Take my credit card.
So, guys, we'll go ahead and transition to some football news. We actually have 3 topics to talk about. So we're not going to dive too much into it as far as, like... we're not going to dive too much into it. Robert Kraft arrested for possible prostitution in Jupiter, Florida. Guys, what will the newspaper headlines read for this story?
Okay, so I have 4 possible headlines for this story. First one, Robert Kraft, happy endings on and off the field.
I like that one.
Second one, believe it or not, the Patriots owner cheated on his wife.
Okay.
Deflategate, Spygate, and now Tailgate.
Oh, I like that one.
And
that one's good, dude. That might win.
And I don't know what the headline is, but the sub-headline for it's going to be Robert Kraft enjoying some Florida clam chowder around a day spa.
Oh.
So wait, isn't he a widowee?
No, he has a girlfriend or a partner.
He is married since 2012 to a really hot girl.
Yes.
Oh.
I don't know her name. I'll find her name, but very, very good looking.
Okay. Well,
Dude,
I have a couple.
That's awesome.
Actually, I'm just gonna, because you kind of hit on the Spygate thing, so I'm gonna go with my other 2. This one would be a quote from Gronk. You know how sometimes they put the name, the colon, and then their quote? Gronk, you can pay for sex. And then number 2, Kraft pleads dementia. That's just it.
Oh, that's funny. All right, yeah, I have 2 as well. Kraft, Mac, and pleased.
Ooh.
And then my other one, started with the tuck rule, ends with the tug rule, the end of a dynasty.
Ooh, that one I could actually see in the paper. That one's pretty nice. So wait, what was the one that we really liked from you, Layden?
Spygate, Deflategate, Tailgate.
That's
We
awesome.
had some good ones there.
Yeah, those are some good ones.
I'm sorry he's not married. It's his girlfriend. But as you can see, Brandon.
Yes, I saw the talent in the sex ring. He had a much more attractive girlfriend.
Did he?
Yeah.
I looked at the sex ring talent.
Oh, no, but much better. I promise you.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, she's better, or the people at the day spa are better?
Oh, people in the day spa, pretty rough looking. But I mean, they are held captive against their will, so
Yeah, that's
understandable.
That's the crazy thing about this whole thing is that like there's gonna be more shit coming down about this.
Oh, yeah.
And like it's gonna get pretty dark. And
150 men
what
have been caught. So the police have been doing this whole little. I did a lot of research on it. For 6 months, they've been basically cameraing all this and had like evidence on 150 men.
So the police knew that people were being held against their will, and they waited 6 months to jump on it.
That's the issue I have with the whole
Yes.
justice system here. They're just trying to cancel a lot of men out. I don't know. But a couple of things I also saw in Google reviews that I got to be like, why wasn't this shut down earlier? reviews as far back as 3 years has called this place just a rug and tug joint. And the place only has 5 1-star reviews, and they're all from women. Can we not figure this out sooner?
Yes, a quick Google search would have done somebody some justice here.
And the fact that a 1-hour massage is only like $70, it costs like $120 any other place you go. Like, clearly this was a one-stop shop for the rugged tug.
Yep. Yes. Now, I will say, though, I do think that this is going to get much worse. I don't know if like he was involved in this in any other way other than just showing up and, you know, basically just being a beneficiary of this. I don't know how they can keep him as an owner. I mean, because we've seen it before, like with Donald Sterling. Like, one mishap, like you have to fly a pretty straight line. And the NFL, like, they're kind of more lenient than the NBA is, and I don't think that they should be more lenient because, like, there's 32 people of this, like, you should be held to a higher standard than everybody else. I'm not going to be surprised if once all this shit settles that he's going to have to sell his team.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either, really, depending on what happens. But another thing, though, Ben, I looked up, you said that the girls were not very good looking in the place. Robert Kraft, a billionaire, is the only place you can do this in southern Florida with ugly chicks.
Well, you think about it, like in Nevada, it's completely legal. So I don't know why. Yeah, be smart.
So I think something about might be there.
Yeah.
But that being said, I never felt more labeled to a billionaire in my life.
Yeah, he's going to definitely plead a lot of ignorance in all this.
Yes.
And just say it just all kind of happened. But, a couple times. But, it's going to be interesting.
Yes, it'll be very interesting. So, second headline here for football. Le'Veon Bell is officially a free agent. Guys, what kind of value does he realistically bring to a team?
You make it just do it all back. He can do it. He can block for you, run, catch. How good actually... No, he's very, very, very good. But running backs in the NFL can be easily...
replaced.
They can look better than they actually all just have system they're in. So while he's going to have success, I think wherever he goes, the system is going to be important to him because we saw James Conner just tear it up, and we saw Daniel Williams tear it up. So I think it might be a system kind of deal.
Well, and we need to also think about that he's already 27 years old. He did have that year off, but he's still 27. And very few backs have been able to keep it up much past 27. 27, 28 is usually when a lot of these backs start bowing out. I mean, you have rare cases like Priest Holmes still setting like records at 30, but you know, most of the time these guys are about out of the league at 28. And he wants a contract similar to Todd Gurley, and I just don't see how he thinks that can happen. I mean, Todd Gurley was 23 when he signed this contract. You're not going to get a contract until you're 31 for $14 million a year. I just don't see that. And if he does get something like that, it's going to be very, very little guaranteed money.
Yeah, I agree there. I do think that, you know, I don't want to devalue the NFL running back spot because, like, Zeke Elliott, I don't think a whole lot of people could have his production that he has. Todd Gurley, we've seen C.J. Anderson have similar production, and basically any NFL running back that stepped in there have the same production. And then, you know, even with Le'Veon Bell, we forget about those huge games that D'Angelo Williams was able to bring to the house whenever he was hurt. And then James Conner has a better season last year, or was on pace to before he got hurt, than what Le'Veon Bell basically had ever had in a Steelers uniform. So I do think that he thinks he's worth more than what he is actually worth. But if you look at the big contracts around the NFL, like the Todd Gurley contract, obviously that's paid off for them, like they were in the Super Bowl last year. But then you look at where other running backs that are making a ton of money sit, like Jerick McKinnon. I mean, one injury and he's basically sidelined for the whole season. And even if he was on the team, there's no way they were going to be a playoff team. LaShawn McCoy making almost $9 million a year. The Bills are, you know, borderline laughing stock at this point.
Well, and okay, go on.
And I mean, Zeke Elliott's making like 6.8. He's up on the list as the highest paid ones. And then Lamar Miller. Like, how much does Lamar Miller really move the needle on a team? Not much. He had success with the Dolphins, and now he's basically just another running back for the Texans.
Well, then you can point out David Johnson. He has a big contract too, and he's not doing anything for a very, very poor Cardinals team right now.
Exactly.
So you can only be it's almost like just a luxury to have a really good back, and it's just hard to pay somebody when you have so many other holes on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Right, I agree there. And you look at other teams that have had success running the ball, they find ways to do it because an all-around back is going to make a lot of money. But if you have 2 or 3 guys that can do one thing really, really well, and you use them to kind of, like, look at the Philadelphia Eagles, one of the best running football teams. They have 4 guys that they're putting out there to do their one thing really, really well. And the Bears with Terry Cohen, Jordan
Looking
Howard.
for the Super Bowl, Patriots, James White, and Sean Michelle.
Yes, the Patriots have written a book on this. Like
the Seahawks led the league in rushing.
Yes.
We couldn't even figure out who the running back was beginning of the season.
Exactly.
It took us all 13 weeks for Chris Carson to take that role over.
Yes, I agree. I think that the value for Le'Veon Bell, he might win a team one more game. Mm-hmm. And that's the ceiling for that.
I really think he's going to be making like Jerick McKinnon money, with maybe even less guaranteed. And I think he's thinking he's going to be making Todd Gurley money, and he's going to be very disappointed.
I think he's going to be disappointed.
What if he is just simply riding this high, like he felt like king of the world and doing what he wants to do, and I kind of knew oh shit, I got to play football again here soon. I got to start getting serious.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it's gonna be an interesting thing to watch as the season ramps up. Guys, where's the dream landing spot for Le'Veon Bell?
For me, since they are my super position for next season, I want him to go to the Texans because I think he do a whole good work there for him. He really be Lamar Miller. We were talking about a second ago. It is not good. And Texans is playing back-to-back seasons. I think getting Le'Veon Bell back there in the backfield, another really dynamic weapon, could help open up the offense that Bill O'Brien just can't figure out how to do without catching 20 balls a game.
Yeah. So I put 3 teams that would be ideal for him. I do think the Bears. I think they're going to view him as an unneeded luxury with the 2 backs they have right now. Clearly, he'd be better than Tariq Cohen, but Tariq Cohen seems to work just fine for him. I think the Chiefs, he could fill into that Kareem Hunt role perfectly. But then again, you got to think they're going to have to pay Patrick Mahomes not too long from now. And are they going to want to give him a bunch of guaranteed money? I'm not sure. And then you have the Ravens, who we all know next year they're going to run the ball. And that's exactly what Le'Veon Bell wants and would honestly help out Lamar Jackson.
I think that would be a really good fit. I didn't even think about the Ravens. I think the Ravens should be a lead candidate for this. I don't know about the money for that team, but that's actually probably the best spot for them. I was thinking a team like the Colts. They have a ton of cash that they can spend. So I think that would be a good one. I just don't want to see the Colts jump into that because I don't know how much better he's going to do than, say, Marlon Mack and like Robert Turbin, because they have guys that can do multiple things. But I think that offense would be a little better just because you have one guy that you can put out on the field for basically the entirety of the game. The Texans are interesting to me because they're going to have to make a decision because they're going to have to pay Deshaun Watson in a couple of years. And they're going to have to decide if they want to continue to be this defensive juggernaut and pay Jadeveon Clowney the money that he's probably going to deserve this offseason, or are they going to go a different route and try to get Bill O'Brien the offense that he's always dreamed and put the players in the position to succeed and pay a guy like Le'Veon Bell instead of building up the roster defensively? The Jets, I think they're interesting in the fact that Sam Darnold doesn't necessarily have a reliable target that he can just throw the ball to and the guy can do something in space. Like every single good young quarterback needs that. And I think Le'Veon Bell it's kind of like, okay, in the NBA, if a guy's having an off night, just let him get to the line and shoot a free throw. That's been the one thing in basketball, like, hey, just get to the line, see the ball go in the basket, get an easy layup, something to where you can get things going right. A quarterback needs that same thing. I mean, he has Robbie Anderson out wide and basically nothing else, and Robbie Anderson isn't the kind of guy that you're just going to throw the ball to 2 yards in front of the line of scrimmage and just let him go to work. Le'Veon Bell could be that guy that they could put next to Sam Darnold and kind of let things, when Sam Darnold's in need of a bucket, he's got a guy right there to just drop it off to him and, get things going in the right direction. I think that if it's a team that wants to win, it's got to be the Colts or the Texans. Yeah. But if it's a team that wants to get their quarterback right for the future, I think Sam Darnold and the Jets is the right option for him.
So yeah, I think the Jets would definitely be ideal for Le'Veon money-wise, but I think he won't be too happy there.
Oh, hell no.
No.
Hell no. It'll be interesting. Guys, where do you think he goes? Gut check, where's he going?
I think he goes to the Jets because I think they're going to offer just way more money than anybody else. Because the Jets are only competing to be relevant in the NFL, but relevant in their own city. And if the Giants do draft Kyler Murray or Dwayne Haskins and they are good, and the Jets don't have Le'Veon Bell, they're going to lose fans to the Giants. And you don't get to play Le'Veon Bell that often. And Drake, I feel like you said the Jets aren't ready to win. I feel like the Jets are just delusional enough to think that being Le'Veon Bell, they can get Sam Darnold on the right track, and the defense is good enough to win 10 games. They're definitely not that good.
Oh, yeah, especially with their crazy head coach, Adam Gase. Like, they probably think that Adam Gase is this wizard, even though he's basically flopped everywhere he's went, and they're going to try to get Le'Veon Bell in there so they can give him some toys.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys have said every single team. I mean, collectively, we've said every team I've thought about, but I'm in between the Jets and the Colts. The Colts just makes sense, like Drake said, all the money they have a good offensive line, and it would really help out Andrew Luck. But the Jets have the money and they have the desperation. That's the big thing.
That's exactly what it is. It's desperation, and I think the Jets are where it's going to be. I think he'll be a Jet. So, guys, the AAF may be failing faster than what we expected. The league was in danger of missing payroll before an NHL owner invested $250 million into the league. How excited is Vince McMahon?
Oh, he's very excited. Okay, this league's fucked. Mm-hmm. Like, this league's screwed hard.
Whenever you're dipping into hockey money to bail you out, you're in trouble.
Yeah, and this was just wasn't to pay. This is supposed to pay all of their bills, not just players, everything.
So, did you hear though that they said it was? They tried to cover it up, saying it was an accounting error,
yeah,
like a glitch in the system, or something like that. $250 million didn't go out. Like, I know that they didn't need $250 million that week, but like,
yeah,
just be honest. You didn't have a glitch of millions of dollars. Okay,
no, $250 million does not get glitched.
Yes, it got glitched, and then you just happen to get a $250 million investment, and then he gets high up on the board. No, that was so funny to me. I think, this is so sad because I think the AAF had the right mentality, but just no money to back it up at all. I like their mentality. They were not trying to compete against the NFL. They weren't trying to compete against the NFL at all. They were trying to take old players from the NFL and kind of give them a home to work on their game, put this in cities that didn't have NFL, but are like Memphis, Birmingham. These are cities that are known to love football. And they have it in their contract that they can jump straight to the NFL if they ever get a ring.
Yes.
So you get a lot of players that are like, okay, what's the harm? I'm still going to make some money. So I thought that was great for him. But the fact that they missed it on week one, I mean, they don't have money. How do you start a league without money?
I agree.
I could understand about halfway through that like maybe some funding fell through, but this was week one.
Yes.
You knew this was coming.
Who's the guy from Firefest?
Billy.
Is he by chance the commissioner of the AAF?
Billy McFarland, commissioner in the AAF. Add that to the thoughts.
But the only way the AAF is going to sustain is if somehow they can make it a couple more years and they can become almost directly affiliated with the NFL. Is the only way this league can make it past a few years.
Yes, I agree, and I don't think that that's a bad idea.
No.
I really don't.
I think it's great for him.
Before we move on to Vic, do you think the XFL is going to make it?
No.
I feel like they'll last longer than the AAF will, just because Vince is an aggressive dude and he's going to pay.
Well, we know they have money.
Yes,
that's the thing.
They have money, but he's trying to battle the NFL. Like, why are you trying to battle the NFL?
That's terrible.
It makes no sense. But they have money, and that's one thing the AAF doesn't have.
No, I agree. So, guys, it is time for Be Right, the Hot Take Detective. Each week I come in with, 3 takes that I firmly believe, and I give them to Brandon. Brandon always tries to prove me wrong in sports. Each week, if I'm able to get one correctly, I'm completely on board with it. Actually, a couple of mine have come to fruition lately, so I'm very happy about that. But I have 3 today. 1 college basketball, 1 NBA, and 1 NFL. So we'll start with the NFL take first. Le'Veon Bell nor Antonio Brown will play in the postseason next year.
So this is kind of hard to argue because I don't know where the hell they're going to go. But just tell me more.
Doesn't matter.
Tell me more of why you don't think so. That's why I want to know. Like, what are you?
Who's the team that we think that the Jets are going to? Who do we think that Le'Veon Bell is going to go to this season?
Possibly the Jets. Yes.
Who do we think AB is going to go to?
Who the hell knows?
Probably the 49ers. I'm expecting...
The team with the most cap space.
Yeah, the team with the most cap space. Whoever can write him that big check.
It's the team who's going to give up a second-round draft pick. That's the team that's going to have AB magically.
It doesn't matter. I think that teams that are going to reach out to him to get Le'Veon, I don't think they're going to be in a position to win. I don't think they're going to have the management in order to win because teams that are smart now in the NFL don't necessarily pay the running back salary like Le'Veon's expecting. And with Antonio Brown, I just don't see a contender going out to nab him. I don't, especially with the locker room problems that both of them have created.
So what? Hypothetically, 49ers get AB, and they have the second or third most cap space in the NFL. What are you thinking? You don't think there's a chance?
No. I don't think. Well, I don't think next year. I think Jimmy G coming off of a knee injury that's going to play in. The team is super, super young. I think they're going to be good probably in 2 years. But next year, I think it's going to be a huge learning curve with Garoppolo. And I think that, being a starting quarterback for 16 weeks, and they have to play the Rams twice. Rams are going to win that division, and the Jets are just the Jets.
Okay, well, again, we don't know where they're going to go. If Le'Veon Bell goes to the Colts, he goes really anywhere that's not a bottom feeder like the Jets. He's going to make the playoffs. But, yes, if he goes to the Jets, he won't make the playoffs. AB, if he goes to the 49ers, I'm almost locking him into the wild card. So I guess I'm going to disagree with you. That was kind of strange. I don't know where they're going to go. But it definitely depends on what team they go to.
It doesn't matter for me. Locker room problems, baby. They were on the Steelers. The Steelers were so good.
If Le'Veon Bell and AB were healthy all season, they would have made the playoffs.
Maybe. I mean, James Conner was pretty. He was better than
pretty good.
Yes, James Conner was awesome.
He was pretty good. But so you're telling me if Le'Veon Bell went to the Texans or he went to the Colts, they're not making the playoffs next year?
I don't think those teams will sign him. Is what I'm getting at. Okay. I don't think that a good team's going to sign him.
Okay. I was going to have a lot of problems with that one. You said that.
So take number 2. The SEC and the ACC will combine to have at least half of the Sweet 16s in the NCAA bracket. I don't know where they're going to be in the bracket. I don't need to. I just know that half the Sweet 16 will be the ACC and SEC.
I really wanted to dispute this one really bad, but anyway I cracked it, I came up with about 7 or 8. So I'm going to say yes. And 7 was me being like, okay, a couple upsets here, there. I'm definitely seeing 8. I'm kind of questioning how many from each conference. Were you just having the 3 from the SEC and then 5 from the ACC?
Yeah, I think you can lock 3 in from the SEC. At the point of the season now, how good these teams are, where they're probably going to get seeded, they're going to be favored in their games. And then you might have a team that comes in with an upset or two. You may sneak a Florida team in. You may, if they make the tournament. If Florida makes the tournament, they are talented enough to do so. Mississippi State, very good team. Auburn, good team. Ole Miss, very solid team. One of those teams may find a way, but then you look at the ACC and let me pull the ACC up.
I see 7 teams that I could say yes, I'm pretty confident they could make it. So that's why I was saying I'll just take 2 teams off from getting upset.
Yeah, but and you lock Syracuse in because they do this every year.
So I have you have teams that aren't even ranked right now, like Syracuse and Louisville, that definitely are good enough to make the Sweet 16. So
right,
I'm going to agree with that one, which I thought was crazy.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I think they're all
lock and load.
Yeah. So third take. The Lakers are going to miss the playoffs and go down as one of the biggest season-long disappointments in NBA history.
Well, you already knew my take. I don't think that they are going to miss the playoffs. I think they're going to be an 8 seed. And see, maybe I just didn't have high hopes. I projected them for the 6 seed before the season started. So if they make the 8 seed, 9 seed, that's a disappointment. But where would you rank it? Are you saying this is one of the biggest absolute
biggest disappointments? I put it up there. Remember that Lakers team that they put together that looked like an arms race with Dwight Howard, Kobe Bryant, Steve Nash, Ron Artest? I think it's right up there with that team.
Meta World Peace.
See, I think something like that is so much worse than this. Yes,
it's LeBron James.
It is LeBron James, and they should make the playoffs, and it is the Lakers. But when you think of some of the, biggest disappointments of all time, the Nets had 5 All-Stars and then ruined their whole franchise to make the 6th seed in the East one time.
I remember that.
That was bad. But we're not really arguing that. I just really it's just the fact that I believe in LeBron, and I do think that he is going to get them in that 8 seed, which at this point they're going to be playing the Warriors, so that's going to be short-lived. But
that'll be fun to watch. Hey, at least we'll be drawn into the first week of the playoffs.
Yes, we will.
All right, so 1 of 3. That's not bad. That's not bad. So, guys, it is time for us to play darts. Pew, 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 pew. We're playing darts, baby. It is a staple of the show. Latency, what dart game do we have for us today?
I've recently gone back and fixed all the issues with the Would You Rather questions.
Awesome.
They are all funny and good now. We don't have any Would You Rather kill 1 baby or 3 adults, so...
Okay, yeah, we'll take this then. So how this will work, we'll each throw a dart at the dartboard. Each dart represents a different Would You Rather question, and we will discuss which one we would rather do. So, Latency, your throw. And we have a 16.
16 would be... Would you rather live without the internet or live without AC and heating?
This is easy.
I only live without heating. So I probably live without AC and manage. So I'm definitely going to pick AC and heating. The internet is too important to anything I do in my life not to have it.
Whoa. How are you just dismissing the heating?
Have you ever been in this house, Brandon? It was 62 the other day when I walked in.
I haven't.
But there's still a system. Like, if you had nothing, it would be
get a fireplace.
62.
You could cover up.
You could get a fireplace.
Burn books in your floor and stuff. You can get warm if you really need to.
Yeah.
Leighton, you think you're going to freaking burn books? Like, you think he's going to make a fire? This is Leighton Shappington. Like, his house is 62 for some reason.
I still get lighters.
Oh my god!
No, definitely without AC and heating.
Missing heating and air way too fast right now. I feel like.
Definitely.
Have you been in a house that's like 90 degrees?
Brandon, I work outside. I know I know heat and cold. I'm fine with it.
Yes, but where do you go when you want to cool down? You go inside your 90-degree house with no air coming in and out.
My house is hot in the summertime. Not that hot, but it's hot. I can be fine. I'll be fine without heat.
Should we try this for a week? You just shut down all units?
Deal.
Yes.
It's already off now, isn't it?
His pipes will freeze.
No, I'll leave
with any luck, yes.
I'll leave it drip.
He'll let the drip go.
I'll let it drip.
Oh, man. I do think this is a hard one, but I feel like you're dismissing the whole heating and air thing way too fast.
Well, in Hawaii, they don't have heating and cooling, or they don't have air conditioning. I don't know about heat, but I know for a fact that none of the houses have air conditioning. And Fletch actually lived in Spain for a bit, and he said that they did not have AC over there as well.
It's fucking hot in Spain. Never been there, but I know it's hot.
He said he hated the no air conditioning, and he said they also didn't know how to even use air conditioning in the places they had it. Like, they had the window open and the air conditioning blaring all the time. Like, they didn't understand. That's a tough one because both of these are kind of luxuries if you think about it.
Yes.
Besides heating in freezing cold temperatures, that might not be a luxury. That might be survival. Can you imagine, like, not having the internet?
Exactly.
You wouldn't know what's going on ever.
We couldn't even do this podcast. Podcasting wouldn't be a thing.
Exactly.
The whole genre of podcasting.
Yes.
Like, you can't look up things. How would you find out?
Spotify's included.
Dennis, imagine this. Bryce Harper signs tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. You find out about it in the next day's paper.
Yeah, even if I find the paper, even if I decide to read the news that day,
right?
Why would I? I think I might be happier overall, though, but I think, like, what if you had a burning question? Like, how many arguments have been solved by just Googling?
It'd be a much simpler life.
Yes, much simpler.
But there'll be many more questions about things.
Yes. I'm easily going with this. I'm going easy. Air conditioning, heat. You can move to a warmer climate to where it's not like, a place that's climateless, basically.
Okay, because, like, what if you lived in Canada where they're having, like, 3 feet of snow for, like, 6 months out of the year? What are you going to do there?
Just move to San Diego, bunk up with Manny Machado, and you'll have 75 and sprinkles of rain every day.
I hear he's going to live in Baltimore still.
He does?
I hear he's going to live in Baltimore instead.
Yeah, right. You don't sign $30 million to go live in Baltimore.
That'd be stupid.
So I guess this is going to be a clean sweep. I guess the internet, man, I don't know what people did for the internet.
I know.
Like, did you guys watch the Ted Bundy tapes?
I have not. It's on my list of things to watch.
The whole reason that dude was able to kill so many people was because nobody talked. Nobody knew, like, the internet wasn't around. So he literally just walked from city to city killing people, and then they didn't even know about it. They're like, oh, somebody died in that city? The same way? Oh, shoot. They didn't talk about it, so he just walked around. He literally just, I don't know.
That's a lot of those people, though, back in the day. Like, I'm definitely going with, I could do without heating and air. I could not go without the internet.
I'm going to concur.
Okay. So we're unanimously keeping heating or internet, not heating and air. Heating and air is irrelevant.
All right, B-Reich, your throw.
Irrelevant.
And we have a 6.
A 6 would be... Would you rather be able to teleport anywhere or be able to read minds?
Oh, shoot.
Oh, man.
You know what? I thought about this for a second. Being able to read minds would be good, but, sometimes ignorance is bliss. And maybe I don't want to know what some people are thinking about me. Maybe I like to just think they like me. But what is one of the worst things about coming back from vacation?
Having to drive or fly or train.
Yes, exactly. And what is one of the things that stops you from going to maybe a vacation? The cost of flights?
Yes.
Or the length of time it gets you there? I mean, sometimes we're spending whole days. This one's easy for me. This is teleportation.
Yeah.
Abso-freaking-lutely, because nothing is worse than being dead tired and having to drive hours.
I think teleportation, because that could you could get the most out of that. Like, do you know how efficient your day would be if you could just teleport places?
Super efficient.
Yeah.
And also...
And you could work anywhere in the world.
Nobody but us three, well, there's a couple other people, have tried to come back from a weekend in Nashville, back to Heron, Illinois, and had to drive with old Drake here and having to stop every 10 minutes for him to relieve his nausea and vomitus from his overindulgence. Like, just think if we could teleport and get over all of that.
Guys.
Yeah, I didn't think. Yes, absolutely. I would teleport everywhere.
Guys, you're thinking way too small here, okay? You can read minds. Do you know how far you could get in life? Knowing in every negotiation ever what that person's thinking. Have you ever heard the World Series of Poker? Do you want
no.
Dominate
See,
that?
I'm on this, dude. You could kill the World Series of Poker.
You would never lose a hand.
You could if you just had somebody that never thought. He just bet blind.
You
all
always
the time.
knew what they had.
Yes,
and you would
I would be the World Series of Poker champion.
And then, granted, all your flight problems, you own 16 private jets because you win everything.
But guess what? It still takes time to get to point A to point B. That's one thing that you're going to still be pissed off. You're going to be sitting there with your private jet and millions of dollars, and I'm going to be like, dude, where the fuck are you? I'm just sitting over here in my bed after we had a week of overindulgence. You know how clutch that is, Layton? Latency.
That would be nice.
Latency.
Brandon, this is the difference of me being a regular at a $400 a bottle bar and you being a waiter at that bar. You understand that, right? You can teleport to the bar, but you can't have any fun. I can fly to the bar.
Because you realize how much I could still make more money by teleporting. There's so many more avenues we're not even thinking about how much more efficient.
You could just be the guy that teleports, and you could make so much money.
You grab somebody and you just teleport. Okay, think about this.
You're an insane
planes
influencer.
Make so much money. Why
You
does
could
it
just
cost
be a
me
circus act.
$400 to go a round trip somewhere?
It's way faster than flying. Or than
How
driving.
much faster is teleporting than flying?
Well, teleporting's not possible, but probably faster.
It's instantaneous.
I imagine instantaneous, yeah.
So
I think
how
I'm on
much
this
would
with Brandon
people-
now.
If I could grab somebody, transport them, how much money would I make? And
I don't know if you'd be able to teleport people. I think you would just be able to teleport yourself.
It is in this theme.
You know what I think
You'd
would be
probably be able to
cool?
make more money working for the mob or something and getting the big guys out of prison.
I mean, there's not a lack of things. Like, I have plenty of avenues to utilize this talent.
I would just be a magician. I could just teleport everywhere and be a magician.
Yes. And then, Layton, think about, like, you've seen TV shows, and they always dramatize this. What if you get in a situation where you can't stop hearing people's thoughts?
Oh, that would be rough.
And you're going
It never
crazy.
said you can turn it off. That's a good point.
Yeah, no, teleporting all day, dude. I would fill up Madison Square Garden and just go from one basketball hoop to the other, teleporting back and forth. And people,
One thing Drake
That's all he wants to do.
and people, dude, I wouldn't teleport across the state or anything like that. I'd just teleport across the basketball goal a
90
few
feet.
times. I
90 feet.
I'd charge them about $50, $100 a head, and bam, there you go. Making millions of dollars. And guess what I do? Teleport back home from the middle of MSG back to my bed.
Yes, they're both good talents. And Layton, you did make me think, but I'm still going with teleporting.
Yes, I'm teleporting.
I'm going to go with read minds. So
All right.
we disagree on that one.
And now my throw. And we have a 9.
A 9 is... Would you rather be transported permanently 500 years into the future or 500 years into the past?
Past. Hit every bet.
There's no
There's no betting.
There's no. Is there bet? Is there
You can invent everything.
Oh yeah.
Rich still.
I would invent the internet, Google.
You're not supposed to do that. I'm not saying I am, but 500 years ago you wouldn't have the means.
Okay. Let's not over exaggerate. There are little things that make like the squatty potty made how much money? Drake
lot.
can make a stool.
Billy
Drake
Bob
can make a
Teeth.
stool.
Billy Bob Teeth.
I'd be the first one on Billy Bob Teeth.
Yeah, Drake could
Forks. Spoons.
make sporks. Like Drake's got that type of talent. I think.
Yeah, I could definitely make a spork.
So here's the issue too with going in the future. Well, there's a couple issues. Going in the past, you don't have internet. You don't have
Shit,
plumbing.
America's not even a thing.
Yeah, you don't
500
have
years in the
plumbing,
past.
You don't have vaccines. So
Right now we're in the woods,
your
guys.
biggest issue is like smallpox still.
Okay, I'm going in the future. I'm taking my chances.
But
I'll be poor.
If you go in the future, then you're totally lost. See what the fuck happened past 500 years.
And you know the world kind of.
But I could be the guy who came from the past.
No one cares how it came from the past. They've seen the past.
I would care if some.
How would you prove it from the past?
I'd care if somebody.
I'd take my phone and just show him pictures of me at a Bears game 500 years ago.
Yeah,
Really?
that's kind of cool. And then you would know your great grandpappy. You would basically be Ancestry.com.
Yeah, and imagine the shit though. Like, say the world ended like 300 years from today. Like, you just show up and you're like, what the hell?
What the hell happened?
Everybody.
Well, I'm stuck here. Let's make the most of it.
And then going to the future, think about all the stuff like you would just like. It would be constantly learning a new thing every single
Yeah.
day.
And if you went in the past, people would like think you're a witch and kill you. So
That's also a good point.
you would be so done, dude. Like,
You'd be
you
stoned,
would try to help
for sure.
everybody. Like, you could be the most generous man in the world, and they're still just gonna
Wait,
stone you and
You'd
out in
also
the middle
be
of public.
Guys.
We would be the oldest people without wives right now. And then 500 years in the past, most likely.
We'd probably be Indians.
No, you'd be the same
No.
person. That's what I'm saying. You just
Yeah,
show
you'd
up
be the
like
same ancestry. So I did Ancestry.com recently, and I'd be like, I'm 70% English. So I'd be in England.
Wait, you did the DNA swab test thing?
Oh, yeah.
What'd it come back as? Let me guess. You're like almost all European.
Yes. And I'm Caucasian, but yeah, you want to one wild card? Okay, 70% England, 10% Scottish, 9% German, 1%, here's the kicker, Jew. I'm
Wow.
a Jew.
Wait,
Wow,
you
I
don't
didn't know
cheap
that.
at all, so that surprises me.
and it's
Yeah.
only the 1%. That's I need. I've seen somewhere that they only need like 25% of the world's population to do this, and they'll have like basically everybody's DNA in a registry somewhere.
Why not?
That's kind of weird to think about.
That is. Okay, so future or past?
Don't commit any crimes. Be right. Future or past? Yes. Quick thought. Yes or no?
Past.
Is future.
We've taken probably the most
Future.
fun question and made it very hard to say.
I would go future.
Okay, so we're on future?
Yes.
Okay, so to recap, we are living without AC but keeping the internet. 2-1, we are teleporting orbiting minds, and 2-1, go to the future, not the past.
Yeah, I mean, literally, people just died on the, coming over, simple travel, you died going places in the past.
Yes. You have to go to the future.
I want to go overseas. Well, 50% of you are going to die, but let's go have a good time. Come on, Layden.
Bad news. Bad news.
Think about it, Layden.
So, guys, let's go ahead and talk about some NCAA basketball. Be right. That beautiful head of hair you have is gone.
I'm nervous.
I'm shaving that head. Kansas got mopped in Lubbock. I called the double-digit loss, or the double-digit win by Texas Tech, but Kansas lost by 29. I requested to add Texas Tech into the contender cart last week. Thoughts?
Yeah. I'm almost there because my biggest qualm was that they had a terrible record against good teams, but now they've beat Baylor and Kansas really handily, so I'm there now.
Yeah, I'm not there yet, but I'm closer. We'll see how they finish off the last few weeks here.
Yeah, this team's hotter than hell.
Well, I honestly think that Kansas is going to beat Kansas State, and they're going to catch up to Kansas State, but they can catch up to Texas Tech.
Exactly. You have to have Texas Tech lose at this point. So,
oh, God.
Hot seat, Rockets air. So, guys, Zion blew out his shoe, injured his knee, left the game Wednesday against UNC, and the Blue Devils responded by losing by 16. Guys, what does this loss say about Duke?
Ben, take the floor on this one.
All right. So, I mean, we all knew that their strength wasn't their depth on the team. And let's be frank, Zion Williamson is one of the most prolific prospects we've had in some time. This guy is literally amazing. 6'8", 285 pounds. Never seen a specimen like him before. You lose him, I mean, there's a good chance you're going to lose to a 10 seed. How embarrassing they lost, however, was another thing.
Yes.
And that was very upsetting to see. But they did respond by beating a very good Syracuse this next time. Alex O'Connell, which he's really done nothing but hit a 3 occasionally, he did drop 20. So there's some of these players that they do have good players that really haven't had a chance to shine, haven't been involved in the offense. They're going to get a chance to shine. Coach K is going to get them in the right situations, and they're going to be okay. Are they the same team now if Zion doesn't play anymore? Absolutely not. They are not the head and shoulders number one. They're still a 1 seed in my mind, but they're not head and shoulders without Zion. Nor would any team be without Zion if they had Zion originally.
I agree with you. I think it's going to be a 1 seed. I think they'll be okay because Zion's going to play again. But I don't know. If you were Zion, would you return?
No. Nope.
This is tough because you want to because you want to play,
yes.
But you have to have the $1 million. Like, we've seen this from a Duke player before. His name's Harry Giles. You don't even realize it, but he's on the Kings rotation. He was the number 1 player in high school basketball. Multiple knee injuries later, he's getting picked in the middle of the draft, not even in the lottery, by the Kings, and now he's kind of just like gets into games occasionally, where if you're Zion and you just bow out now, you're guaranteed a big NBA contract, probably the number 1 pick overall, because everybody will know you're healthy by then. So I think you got to look at your end game here. Do you want to be Harry Giles? Probably not.
It just, oh man, I would probably not do it, and that's definitely just been the path of most players. But the one thing is that he is a great talent on a team that could probably win the championship with him on it. And I know the kid wants to play, and he's expressed several times how much he just enjoys the game of basketball, and he's definitely got a connection with his teammates. They're almost like brothers probably by now. But I don't think anybody would be pissed off if he just didn't play.
No.
I mean, you saw people like Isaiah Thomas. Is he ever going to make a lot of money again? I always go back to that. No, he's not.
I agree.
He played with an injury. Zion shouldn't risk it. He shouldn't.
Yeah, no.
I agree. So now we've seen Duke down by 20 twice in 2 weeks. Guys, do you think that Duke is in any trouble going into the tournament?
If Zion can't play, I think they're absolutely 100% in trouble. Without Zion, there's 0% chance they win this.
Oh, I wouldn't at all say 0, but
definitely 15, 10,
I mean, they're still
whatever.
a very good team. They still have 2 top 5 picks. They like I said, that Alex O'Connell kid can score. Maybe he gets involved in the offense. They did just unredshirt a player that's about 6'8" because they obviously need defensive help down low. But yeah, clearly they're not head and shoulders above everybody else, and this really sucks for them. So yeah, they're definitely scared. Anybody loses Zion, that's not a good time.
Yeah, I agree. So, guys, we'll go for one of the hot topics right now is they've been trying to put out who should be the 1 seeds, who should be the 2 seeds. So right now, we'll go ahead and put down who should be our 1 and 2 seeds. We'll do 1 seeds first. Latency, take the floor.
But you said 1 seeds, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir. 1 seeds, Duke, Virginia, Gonzaga, and there's definitely Tennessee bias, but put Kentucky and they're over Tennessee.
So I have the first 3 the same with Layton: Duke, Gonzaga, Virginia. And then my 4th 1 seed is going to be, this is really a cop-out, but the winner of the next Kentucky-Tennessee game.
Right now.
Who is it?
Kentucky.
Okay.
Kentucky. I actually went.
Oh, hell, and then LSU wins the SEC tourney. They're a 1 seed.
Oh, it's possible.
So, yeah.
They potentially could be. I'm actually going Virginia, overall number 1 seed, then Gonzaga, Duke, and then I have Tennessee at 4 still. I mean, if you look at it, this team still is 24-3. I know they've had a rough couple weeks, but they're the only team that's not Gonzaga or Virginia that haven't lost to a team outside of the top 15. Their one loss was against Kansas, which was a fully healthy Kansas team with Azubuike. and then they lost to Kentucky, which Kentucky, right here, they're going to be on my 2 seed line, and then you have LSU. So they're a team that doesn't have any bad losses. So I would say that Tennessee, who's beat Gonzaga this year, almost has to be a 1 seed at this point. A week from today, I could be off that take, but as of now, I think Tennessee.
It all comes down to that Kentucky-Tennessee game to me.
I agree.
That's 100% what it comes down to.
Yeah, the winner of that game basically locks it up for the 1 seed. So guys, we'll go ahead and go to our 2 seeds. I think this is where it'll get more interesting.
So 2 seeds, I have Tennessee, North Carolina, Houston. And the 4th one is really hard to decide between Michigan and Michigan State. Michigan State.
Lions' love of Michigan. Here we go.
Michigan State has 5 losses, but 3 of those came in a row. So take those 3 out of those 2 games all season. I went Michigan, though, because Michigan just has better wins than Michigan State does. Yeah, Michigan State just won the game straight up. But Michigan, look at their resume, has better wins.
Okay, but they are definitely faltering here late, and your claim that they're the best team is definitely faltered.
Okay, well, they're not really the best team, but 2 seeds
No.
still.
So I'm going with Michigan State over Michigan. Okay, so I'll go in order here. So Tennessee, North Carolina, Marquette, and Michigan State.
Ooh, I like the Marquette call.
Oh yeah. So the problem I have with Houston, I just don't see them putting them. Even if they win out when their last game Cincinnati, I still see them putting them in that 3 seed because they just do those weird things.
Yeah, but this is all another committees. Do you have them at a 2 seed? Is the question.
I still don't have them as a 2 seed.
Plus 1 game, 26-1.
That is true.
Their conference is pretty. They might as well be.
So Gonzaga's. I mean, Gonzaga beating teams by like 30 points a night.
Yeah,
but still.
Did you guys realize that Tennessee is only Virginia? Out of Virginia's 24 wins, they have won 17 of those by double digits.
I believe it.
That's unbelievable. But my 2 seeds, I'm going Kentucky. They would be a 1 seed if they haven't lost to Bama and Seton Hall. If they had just lost one of those games, they would be a 1 seed without a doubt. But they will be if they end up winning the UT game this weekend. I have UNC, and then I have Houston. Houston beat LSU, who just recently beat Kentucky and Tennessee. And, you know, their only other really good win was over Cincy, but you can't knock a team for just not losing. And especially since they answered the bell against probably their toughest opponent all season in LSU. Like, they won that game. We cannot take that away from them. Just because they've lost 1 game all season, we can't go back and say, well, their schedule is absolutely terrible whenever you have teams like Kentucky who were putting in the 2 seed mix who've lost to Bama and Seton Hall. And then my 4th 2 seed, I'm actually going Marquette. They actually have a really good resume. They beat Kansas State, they beat Wisconsin, they beat Buffalo, and then I know Villanova isn't the same team over the past this season as they were the last few, but they still beat Villanova. I think that their losses to Seton Hall is just kind of a team that weirdly has their number. And at the beginning of the season, whenever they lost to Indiana and Kansas, both of those teams were really, really good at the time of the loss. Indiana, whenever they beat Marquette, they were on their way to starting 12-2, one of the best teams in the country, and Kansas was number 1 ranked at the time. So I think Marquette's put enough on paper that you could really put them as a 2 seed.
Yeah.
So, North Michigan.
No, I didn't have any love for Michigan.
They've struggled so much at these last few weeks, and it's so clear they got holes.
Yeah, and if you look at like Michigan State head-to-head versus Marquette, like I left Michigan State out. They have a lot of the same. They have 2 of the same losses actually. Both teams lost to Kansas. Both teams lost to Indy. Both teams have beat Wisconsin, but. Marquette beat Louisville, who Michigan State had lost to, and Michigan State has a loss to a 10-17 U of I team. Like, I just cannot put that out of my memory. That was a terrible loss.
Another thing, do you remember, I mean, we did do that contender card a little bit ago, but nobody even mentioned Houston.
I know.
Nobody even brought them up.
Well, see,
they only had 1 loss at the time.
Yeah, but now they've rattled off like 14 straight wins.
But now they're out
but they still already had their best win.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
We definitely didn't think about Houston.
Didn't think about Texas Tech either.
For the record, I don't have Gonzaga in the call. They're 1 seed though.
Yeah, that's still stupid.
Because okay, well,
yeah, no, I know what you're. It's very stupid reasoning, but yes, I know your reasoning.
Okay.
Can't win the big game.
Never have.
So
To the
Getting there means nothing, Brandon. You win it or you don't win it.
that's true. That's true.
Period.
That's true.
That's not matter how far you go if you don't finish it.
So guys,
Butler's okay. Go on.
something else that we had done was the 4 versus the field, which basically it was a bet where they basically listed off 4 teams and you could take even odds on it. You can either pick the 4 teams or you can pick the field. Let's give our 4 versus the field. Which 4 teams, if you could take a bet to guarantee that one of your 4 teams wins the title, which 4 teams would you pick?
Before we go on, Ben, we were going to say Butler also never won at all. They got there twice, but failed both times.
Go on.
So, in my world, Zion is healthy. My teams are Duke, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Michigan.
Duke, Kentucky, Tennessee, Michigan. Okay.
All right. Duke, Kentucky, Michigan State, and we're going to go with a wild card here. We're going to go with Texas Tech.
I love Texas Tech, dude. They're good. They're really good. So this weekend I thought, like, what are the odds that a team with freshmen leading them can win a national title, like, especially, with bigs and all this? So I actually did some really, really in-depth research since 2006. So they implemented the rule where you have to play, like, 1 season of college ball or overseas, and kind of changed the landscape of college basketball. So I went through and looked at every single team since 2006, what they had to have in order to win. 0 teams have won a title without a guard as one of the top 2 scorers on their team. 0 teams have won with 2 freshmen that were leading scorers. 2 of the 13 teams have won with 3 or fewer players scoring in double figures. One was that weird UConn team that won in 2010 Duke. And 0 teams have won with 0 guards scoring 10 points or fewer with 0 guards scoring 10 points or more per game. And 0 teams have been from the Big Ten, Pac-12, or WCC. So I use this to basically
Didn't
pick
Duke
my teams.
beat Wisconsin?
Yes, but they had Quinn Cook.
Quinn Cook.
Quinn Cook was a sophomore at the time, and he was their second leading scorer. So my 4 versus the field. I have Tennessee. They have a junior, senior leading scorers, 4 guards that are scoring 10 or more points per game. They have to be a lock off of what I just read. I have Kentucky. They have a sophomore leading scorer and a guard at number 2, a guy who's played and been in big games. And they have 4 players that are scoring in double digits. And I have Virginia. 3 guards that are leading scorers for the team. They're an ACC school. 5 top 100 players, which no team has won with fewer than, I believe, no team has won with fewer than 4 or fewer top 100 players, which is why I don't have Gonzaga on here. And then UNC. 2 senior leading scorers. One's a guard, one's a forward. And they have 6 top 100 players in the country. Like, in order to be successful in this tournament, you have to have a guard score. You have to have some leadership that's not a freshman. And you have to not be from a certain conference because, obviously, they just don't prepare you enough. 13 years of research, I feel like, leads us to a pretty good conclusion there. I don't think I can put Duke in there, so I have UNC, Kentucky, Tennessee, Virginia.
I don't think Virginia can win because
They're Virginia.
every year a team gets hot to get them from 3, or they somehow figure out how to shoot best game ever. Virginia can't keep up with their scoring. So,
I don't know. I think his team's a little different.
So wait, we had 3 of the 4 the same?
Yes, Tennessee, Kentucky, and UNC, and then I have Virginia in there as well.
Yeah. Because Brandon has left the show, he has run out of White Claws. And quite frankly, he can't do it without a White Claw. So he'll be back next week for more of your viewing pleasure.
Yes, once he gets him some more White Claws, he'll be set to go. So guys, each week we put our producer in the spotlight. He goes out, watches not 1, not 2, not 3, maybe 4 movies a week, and he brings one in to review. Wait and see, what are we reviewing today? 1 2 1 2 Pip's Entertainment Review. Sit on down for a movie to view.
This time, whenever I know that Drake watches something, 'cause I know it's not very often, I have to bring that into the show because it makes for a very fun conversation. And this is actually a bit of a prelude to all you Fighting Knuckle Sandwich fans out there of a contest we'll have this week, and that is Abducted in Plain Sight. if you haven't watched this, it's on Netflix. Everybody's talking about it on Twitter. It's about, I don't know, do you think it's more about a guy named B or a family?
Both.
So it starts off with a family who has, I think, 3 daughters, and another family moves in, and the dad's name in the family is, they call him B. Well, B had an infatuation with one of the daughters from the family who is, what was she, 12, 14?
12 years old.
She was 12 years old at the beginning. She was 12 years old, and he would go over there and stay at night with her, like sleep in her bed and stuff.
Parents allowing.
Parents totally fine with this. It's just normal behavior. And eventually he abducts her twice. And finally, after years of this happening, parents finally get it back, and now years later they made a documentary about it, and the girl realizes she was an idiot. And the parents realized they were also idiots.
I don't think the girl's necessarily an idiot. Like, she was 12.
Yeah, but at the end she was like 16.
Yeah, but like,
Second time
if you get brainwashed from such a young age, I feel like you kind of are just like relieved of everything. Like, I don't think she had any play in this whatsoever. I think this was 100% on the parents.
Not 100%, of it was on B.
No, yeah. A lot of it
was on the pedophile guy. But just so you know, this point forward, 4 spoilers.
all spoilers.
So, it started out with the infatuation began, and then he went to a therapist or something.
Yes.
And part of his therapy was to sleep in the same bed as Jan, who was a 12-year-old girl.
Yes.
And the parents, since they started
Some of the oddest doctor's orders somebody will ever run across.
Yeah, and so since it was the therapy, parents thought, oh, it's fine, we trust this guy. And throughout the neighborhood, everybody thought he was a really nice guy. Evidently this guy
Except his brother.
His brother knew he was a piece of shit.
Yes.
Knew he was a shady character.
But he could sell a hell of a car.
He's a great car salesman, apparently. But no, it was fine. Okay behavior. It was fine. And then he, one point in time, he tricked Jan into thinking she was half alien. And she believed this lie from the time she was 12 and a half, probably, to the time she turned 16.
But like, if you think about it, like, 12-year-olds are very, very gullible. And like, if you put something like that, like the situation she was in, like, that sounded pretty believable if you're a 12-year-old.
Yeah, he did drug and knock her out, strapped her to the bed, and then had a music, like a voice box he would talk over, saying, "This is Zeta and Zethra, you all half alien," whatever. Basically all employed so she will willingly have sex with B.
It was unbelievable.
It was insane. It was insane. I'm very excited for Thursday to hear Thomas talk about this.
Yes, I think he's going to have an interesting spin on this thing. And, you know, the whole time that I was watching this thing, you know, you're sitting there and they're like, the parents are like, yeah, he used to sleep in the same bed with her. You're like, what the hell are you thinking? Like, that is not normal behavior. And then whenever the guy wanted to take her by himself horseback riding, like, this is a guy that has 3 kids. You have 3 kids yourself. And he doesn't want to take any of the kids at all. Like, I feel like at some point you have to step in and be like, something's wrong here. Yeah. Something's astray.
Well, I knew. You knew it was going to be fucked up at 30 minutes in. He wanted to take a horseback riding and they were gone for 4 days. He didn't tell anybody.
And they did not. The parents didn't call the police.
She left on Thursday. They called him Monday.
Yeah.
And then
we'll make it through the weekend and we'll see how things go.
So you think people learn the lessons after one time? No. Happens again, they wait not 1 day, not 2 days, not 4 days, not 1 week, 2 whole weeks before they call somebody and said, hey, our daughter who left that guy a long time ago got molested for a week. It happened again.
I feel like at some point the parents have to be responsible for that. Like, whenever they came to, like, you know, trying to get him in trouble and stuff, I was thinking, like, the parents should be held just as responsible. Because they basically helped facilitate this whole thing. Like, maybe they didn't perform the crime, but I think that they're an accessory to a crime. That's almost like somebody going out and stealing, I don't know, you knowing about a robbery weeks in advance and you still just not telling anybody and letting it happen.
Yeah. And it's really fucking selfish, too. Mm-hmm. Like, can you think about, like, both parents had a sexual relationship with the B guy, and they signed off on his full release from all the crimes, because he was charged with crimes for this.
Yes.
And they signed off that it was all fine.
How mad would you be if you were one of the police officers in that?
Oh,
like, you spend hours on this,
Dude,
days on this.
That head guy who talked like the whole thing, he had to just pull his hair out of these parents for like 4 years. Like he had to be just.
I think he was bald, so that makes sense.
He had to be just constantly pissed off. Like it was probably a joke at the office.
Yes.
It got to that point where just like, we got him. He goes, nah.
No.
He just said, go get out of this one. Coming to find out, he had like raped like 4 of the girls in the past.
Yeah, unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. I feel like if you go through like just like responsibility, like all of the blame, like, you know, obviously B had a huge portion of the blame to be given, but the parents are just to blame equally with that guy, because they willingly sent him, which this is the most bizarre part, he bought his own camp, like a kids camp that people would send their kids to and like go play like goofy golf and drive bumper cars and shit like that. This is the kind of guy that does not need to be owning one of these things. They willingly sent their kid after the first abduction to go work for him for 2 weeks.
Yep, and he never came back. He took her into a Catholic girls' school in California. But like I said earlier, Thomas has 2 kids.
Yes. So it'll be interesting to hear his point on this.
Both girls.
Yes.
Very excited to hear what Thomas thinks about this whole community.
It'll be interesting. I think he'll have a pretty similar take to how I'm on it, but it'll be interesting to hear from somebody who actually has children.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I have cats, but that cost somebody for 2 weeks.
They can fend for themselves, though. Those things are 2-3 years old.
5.
Wow. They're getting old.
Old cats.
Old cats.
Oh, it's happening when you adopt.
So what would you put as far as just like just a documentary? What would your dip scale be?
Documentary, I'm going to give it 2.2, 2.1.
It'll lock you in. Once you start, you won't finish. Or you won't put it down.
Yeah, no, like, you're going to say what the fuck over something very quickly when this thing starts out.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Mind-blowing
I've never
stuff.
seen anything like it.
Mind-blowing stuff.
So, any bold predictions for this sports week?
Bryce Harper signs with the Dodgers for 5 years, like $200 million, $40 million a year.
Wow.
It was short term, high annual value.
That'll be interesting. My bold prediction, I think that Tennessee wins against Kentucky this weekend. Tennessee, they're undefeated at home. They have to be pretty pissed off how they played the past few weeks. Their defensive rating has actually went up despite the loss to LSU. They've been playing a lot better defensively. If they can put a game together, I think that Tennessee is going to beat Kentucky by double digits, and I expect this game to get ugly. I don't know if Reed Travis is going to be back from injury. I haven't seen if he's expected to play. I know he was going to miss a week like last week. Tennessee's riding an all-time low. Kentucky's riding an all-time high, and I think they're going to meet in the middle, and Tennessee's going to put it on them. Any other things before we wrap this show up?
I'm sorry for all the dippers that bet on my Oscar pick of Roma. That was a humongous upset. I'm still in disbelief. When Julia Roberts said Greenberg, I thought she was kidding.
Well, you have to think about it, though. Like, it's the Academy. They're going to have bias against Netflix shit. Like,
oh, you know, that's 100%.
You saw it coming.
100% what it was. I didn't mention that when I said it, too. But, big upset at night. Glenn Close lost. She was at minus 650 to win.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Who won?
Olivia Colman for The Favorite, which is a great movie.
What was her odds?
She was like plus 150, so she wasn't a huge underdog.
That's weird.
But the one was a huge favorite, so it was an odd making.
That's odd. That's just weird how they put the odds.
Yeah.
I'm excited for this Knuckle Sandwich show, though. I think it's going to be good.
Can't
especially
wait.
because we get to break down the fights for this weekend. And on that note, Dippers, for Drake, for Leighton C., and B. Reich with his White Claws, as always, Dippers, stay saucy.